hand you over to Jackie. Uganda Youth Development Inc. is very grateful because we have many young women who help young girls in the community, but also at our facilities, at our center. Interestingly, some other people will join also from other countries because we want them to get their knowledge, to get their information.
Okay, good morning to you all. I'm glad that we are able to have a third online session and a presentation from our friend from Australia, Gabby, and the colleagues who welcome you to this third session. And we are glad that you have really put time off to have these discussions with Uganda Youth Development Link in building our capacity regarding the work that we do, particularly when we are looking at the beneficiaries back in our community. I just want to call upon the staff and all the other peer mentors to log in and be able to get greater insights into this. And today our topic is going to be the path of fulfillment, love, sexuality, and intimacy. And the presentation will be done by Gabby and another discussant. We are supposed to have a reflection on the presentation, and then we shall be coming in for any thoughts and sharing that we feel we need more information on. Particularly, I'm sure that our experience regarding the topic will be valuable through sharing. And therefore, this is to invite Gabby to take us through. I don't know whether we shall need a small rules so that we get to know, being that the subject is very sensitive, perhaps we may need a respectful communication and some bit of confidentiality when we are sharing, because this may trigger, never know, any form of discomfort. Yeah, I think that's it. I hand over to you, Gabby.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jacqueline. Yeah, I want to greet you all, everywhere, wherever you are. Yeah, thank you again for inviting me to give a presentation. And if I can share my screen. So the topic is the path to fulfilled love, sexuality, and intimacy. I will share my screen now. Can you see? You see it?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Okay, good. Mm-hmm. So everyone wants to be loved and to love somebody he or she can trust. Love is the strongest power in the universe. True love leads to our deepest fulfillment and happiness. On the other hand, misdirected or self-centered love will cause us hurt and bitter suffering. True love is pure, unwavering, and lasting. To achieve such a standard of love is our innermost desire as human beings. In fact, nobody can live a truly fulfilled life without love. Oh, not work. So already earlier in my previous presentation, I referred to the family as a school of love, because here we experience all the different spheres of love. At first, as a child, we respond to the love we receive from our parents. The second dimension is the love between brothers and sisters. The third is the exclusive love between husband and wife. And the fourth and highest level is the unconditional love we experience as parents towards our own children. We can regard the society as the extension of the family, where we relate to others in higher or lower positions in a hierarchical order, as well as to persons on equal levels horizontally. Love is simply all about relating to each other. And you see this diagram. So it is not a static system, but it is really a dynamic system, and all is connected ideally through heart and through true love. The 4 T's in good family relationships: time, talk, trust, and touch. Always remember these 4 T's. They are the crucial pillars in good family relationships. In any other relationship, among friends, colleagues, etc., at least time, talk, and trust are necessary components. Each relationship takes time to develop, quality time. That means we spend time by doing something we like together. We need to talk to each other, sharing our thoughts and feelings in a safe environment. Blaming and complaining are extremely destructive. If that happens, 10 times more positive interactions are essential. A good relationship is grounded in trust. Trust will grow by having honest and sincere talks. That, of course, does not mean that this has to be without humor. In fact, humor is very important for a thriving relationship. Also, we must stick to our promises to gain trust. What do we do when our trust is violated? In such a situation, we have to again go back to the start. That means we have to invest time and we need to talk until trust is rebuilt. If trust was lost by a physical violation, to restore trust, the injured person must be protected from a similar violation ever happening again. Last not least, touch already babies need tender touches. Otherwise, they are not even able to develop their brain properly. Caressing provides the necessary stimulation for the neurons in order to acquire all the complex cognitive and social functions. At the same time, the body produces oxytocin, a bonding hormone. But adults need touch as well. Especially women love to hug each other. Good parts too. It should be borne in mind that physical touching, hugging between men and women who are past puberty in age, more often than not, even when no one wanted it, arouses the man's sexual instincts. While that might help a hesitant married couple to bond, it is dangerous between people who are not married and should be always avoided. Summarized, if you are not married with each other, better don't touch. In marriage relationship, men are very fond of touches, particularly when they lead to intimate interaction. But if a couple is disconnected, this is the least the wife desires. In fact, it causes even more separation on the female side until the relationship has been restored. A man, on the other hand, feels more deeply connected to his wife when his sexual wishes are satisfied. Let's talk about communication. Today, I would particularly like to emphasize the importance of communication. There are different kinds of communication, verbal and non-verbal. We can express our feelings sometimes even more accurately by body language. Small children jump for joy, whereas anxious people cringe in fright. We can read sadness in the eyes of a person who is in deep sorrow, and so on. But our main communication tool is our words. How do we talk to each other? Do we only hear the words that reach our ears? How do we express ourselves? Marshall B. Rosenberg was an American psychologist who developed the method of the so-called nonviolent communication. The object of nonviolent communication is not to change people and their behavior. in order to get our way. It is to establish relationships based on honesty and empathy that will eventually fulfill everyone's needs. It is our nature to give and receive compassionately. There are 4 steps. First, observation. What do I hear the other person saying or see him or her doing? Then next is feelings. What do I feel? Third, needs. What are my needs? And fourth, requests. What would the other one be willing to do that my needs are met? I'm responsible myself for my feelings. Another person might have triggered unpleasant emotions such as anger, sadness, or fear, but I decide how to react to that. I don't judge or blame the other one, but I should be aware of my own feelings and what I would really need. The other person is not responsible for my feelings or my needs. When I know what my wishes are, I can make a request. May I ask you to do this for me? It is a desire of mine, but not a demand. The observations, feelings, needs, and requests of the other person. By paraphrasing, that means repeating what the person said in my own words, I confirm that I understood correctly. Then I say what I sense about the feelings of my communication partner. I can ask about his or her needs and what I could do to contribute to their satisfaction. There is a beautiful poem by Ruth Bebermeyer. Words are windows, or they're walls. I feel so sentenced by your words. I feel so judged and sent away. Before I go, I've got to know, is that what you mean to say? Before I rise to my defense, before I speak in hurt or fear, before I build a wall of words, tell me, did I really hear? Words are windows or they're walls. They sentence us or set us free. When I speak and when I hear, let the love light shine through me. There are things I need to say, things that mean so much to me. If my words don't make me free, will you help me to be free? If I seemed to put you down, if you felt I didn't care, try to listen through my words to the feelings that we share. To make nonviolent communication clearer, I would like to read a story to you. It is Rosenberg's report on something that happened while introducing his technique on a seminar. That's what he says. I was presenting nonviolent communication to about 170 Palestinian Muslim men in a mosque at Daesh refugee camp in Bethlehem. Attitudes toward Americans at that time were not favorable. As I was speaking, I suddenly noticed a wave of muffled commotion fluttering through the audience. They're whispering that you are American, my translator alerted me, just as a gentleman in the audience leaped to his feet. Facing me squarely, he hollered at the top of his lungs, "Murderer!" Immediately, a dozen other voices joined him in chorus, "Assassin, child killer, murderer." Fortunately, I was able to focus my attention on what the man was feeling and needing. In this case, I had some cues. On the way into the refugee camp, I had seen several empty tear gas canisters that had been shot into the camp the night before. Clearly marked on each canister were the words, "Made in USA." I knew that the refugees harbored a lot of anger toward the United States for supplying tear gas and other weapons to Israel. I addressed the man who had called me a murderer. Rosenberg, are you angry because you would like my government to use its resources differently? I didn't know whether my guess was correct. What was critical was my sincere effort to connect with his feeling and need. The man, damn right, I'm angry. You think we need tear gas? We need sewers, not your tear gas. We need housing. We need to have our own country. Rosenberg, so you're furious and would appreciate some support in improving your living conditions and gaining political independence? The man, do you know what it's like to live here for 27 years the way I have with my family, children and all? Have you got the faintest idea what that's been like for us? Rosenberg, sounds like you're feeling very desperate and you're wondering whether I or anybody else can really understand what it's like to be living under those conditions. I'm hearing you right. The man, you want to understand? Tell me, do you have children? Do they go to school? Do they have playgrounds? My son is sick. He plays in open sewage. His classroom has no books. Have you seen a school that has no books? Rosenberg, I hear how painful it is for you to raise your children here. You'd like me to know that what you want is what all parents want for their children, a good education, opportunity to play and grow in a healthy environment. Men, that's right, the basics, human rights. Isn't that what you Americans call it? Why don't more of you come here and see what kind of human rights you're bringing here? Rosenberg, you'd like more Americans to be aware of the enormity of the suffering here and to look more deeply at the consequences of our political actions. Rosenberg continues telling about this story. Our dialogue continued with him expressing his pain for nearly 20 more minutes and me listening for the feeling and need behind each statement. I didn't agree or disagree. I received his words not as attacks, but as gifts from a fellow human willing to share his soul and deep vulnerabilities with me. Once the gentleman felt understood, he was able to hear me explain my purpose for being at the camp. An hour later, the same man who had called me a murderer was inviting me to his home for a Ramadan dinner. In some situations, however, the opportunity for such dialogue may not exist, and the use of force may be necessary to protect life or individual rights. For instance, the other party may be unwilling to communicate, or imminent danger may not allow time for communication. In these situations, we may need to resort to force. If we do, nonviolent communication requires us to differentiate between the protective and the punitive use of force. Nonviolent communication requires training. If we want to learn about the method of nonviolent communication, we simply have to practice it a lot. It is not really the way of communication we are used to. We might tend to defend ourselves when we feel being attacked, to blame or to judge others through our words, even unconsciously. You can find more about nonviolent communication in the internet, even worksheets for exercises. If you want, you can take screenshots now because there are all the links. Nonviolent communication can also help a lot to create deep, honest and compassionate marriage relationships. But in our society, unfortunately, we are confronted with many cases of domestic or other kinds of violence. What is it that leads a human to act brutally? Possible causes might be bad examples, or the violence someone has experienced him or herself, as well as the influence of alcohol, drugs, or mental problems. It is hard to behave properly if a person has never learned it. To understand a person's violent background does not mean to excuse aggressive actions. In marriage, a husband's rage could be triggered if the man does not feel respected. That can happen if his wife makes fun of him, is blaming or comparing him with others, and so on. Female violence is a taboo, but this does not mean that it does not exist. When this is the case, men are usually too ashamed to talk about it since they are superior to a woman in strength. The cause for women to be cruel can be man hatred due to previous abuse by male persons. In the case of any violence, the victim needs to be separated from the aggressor as soon as possible and brought into a safe environment, especially if children are affected. In Europe, there are facilities for men's counseling specialized on non-violence training. Other possibilities to receive help are family counseling and psychotherapy. I think these are also partially the services you provide for your families and children. Fulfilling love and intimacy. Conjugal love is an intimate connection of fidelity and commitment, wherein there is no place for any other man or woman. Love is not just some surge of attracted feelings that comes and goes. The art of loving another person involves investing of one's heart into that relationship. Love is meant to develop steadily and to remain with us eternally. It is the emotional power that creates oneness and joy. In the context of a lifelong, mutually faithful marriage, the sexual relationship is deeply fulfilling. It solidifies the intimate, wonderful bond between spouses and has a life-giving capacity. Because of this great ability for fulfilling the deepest desires of our heart, sexual love carries a significant responsibility. We have to help young people to understand the full potential of true sexual love, as well as the dire consequences of abuses of sexual love. This is in order to prepare them in the best possible way for a happy, fulfilled life. A proper sexuality education should include, besides the anatomy and physiology of the male and female genitals, clarification of implications of sexually transmitted diseases. Today, doctors have identified more than 25 kinds of sexually transmitted diseases. The effects of these infections range from minor discomfort to chronic pain, infertility, and, in worst cases, death. The World Health Organization estimates 1 million new infections are acquired globally each day. And a large share of those goes unnoticed, undiagnosed, and untreated. In Uganda, for instance, infection rates are highest in urban centers, in the cities of Mbarara and Kampala. 24 to 36% of mothers are HIV positive at delivery. And in the southern districts of Rakai and Masaka, where more than 12% of the total population is believed to be infected with HIV. That is without mentioning the unreported figures of HIV infections and other STDs, which no one knows. Approximately 600,000 babies are born infected by their mothers every day. The mother's greatest joy is to give life, love, and nourishment to her child. Such children and the orphans of parents who died of it are the most innocent victims of this disease. Even though AIDS can be medically treated, there is no cure for it yet. Although HIV, the human immunodeficiency virus, can also be transmitted by sharing drug needles or receiving contaminated blood, by far the highest number of infections have been caused by sex with an HIV-infected partner. The more different sexual partners one has, the greater the risk of contracting the virus. The AIDS epidemic is not merely a medical or health crisis, but also a moral problem that requires a moral solution. HIV has a long latency period of 5 years or more. For instance, that's the time in which the disease is secretly developing, during which the infected person is not aware of having it. It is a period during which the victim, although infected, shows almost no symptoms. Being unaware of the infection, the person affected can continue to infect others. Sexually activity persons may not contract a sexually transmitted disease or have an unwanted pregnancy if they use condoms for protection. But there are more risks than just those. The psychological impact of sexual relationships outside of marriage can sometimes even be more profound and long-lasting than the physical results. Furthermore, there are social consequences, such as addiction to pornography and/or prostitution and children born out of wedlock, financial as well as legal problems that have serious implications even for the wider community. The reasons why we have to invest a lot of time and care in the education of our youth is that they are developmentally not yet prepared for sex. Teenagers are unable to connect sex with love. They tend to think in concrete terms focused on the present, but not the long-range consequences of their actions. Before the heart is developed properly, sex leads to problems with intimacy later. Is that what Viktor Frankl said? The psychological harm for premarital sex continues. They are heartbreak, regret, guilt and shame, stunted personal growth, loss of self-respect, fear of commitment. Friendship involves many different dimensions of communication, shared experiences and interests. But sex at a young age can override everything else. It leads to love-struck teenagers focusing only on themselves and their momentary partner. They can become selfish and possessive. Such teenagers expect to receive their fulfillment through each other and avoid the effort it takes to gain fulfillment through other activities. Lacking topics to talk about and interests outside their relationship, they tend to drain such a relationship dry and long before they have developed its full potential, eventually just choose to abandon what is not working and move on. So they end this relationship. more psychological harm from premarital sex, anxiety over possible pregnancy and diseases, corruption of character, rage over betrayal, depression and suicide. Teenagers who become absorbed in such intense exclusive relationships are turning inward at the very time in their lives when they should be reaching out and developing new friendships, augmenting their social skills and taking on greater responsibilities. Rather than working on developing their character and growing as individuals, teenagers in love, swept up in a whirlwind of emotions, have eyes only for each other. Relations with family and friends tend to suffer. The challenges of study and accomplishing goals may be forsaken for the easy pleasure of sex. When the passion fades, they may become angry or depressed. People have committed suicide because of a broken love relationship. In many societies, women are held to a high standard of purity, while male infidelity is considered natural or inevitable. In truth, the route to deepest fulfillment for both men and women is sexual abstinence before marriage and absolute fidelity within marriage. The conjugal realm of heart is the only appropriate realm for the sexual expression of love. The act of love between husband and wife does not only have physical and emotional dimensions, but even beyond that, a spiritual aspect too. Human sexuality involves freedom. All sexual relationships in the animal world are for reproduction only. Humans are the only beings who enjoy freedom in the conjugal relationship of love. This is humanity's special privilege. However, true freedom requires responsibility. Who can think of these responsibilities? We can think of these responsibilities in three ways. First, responsibility to one's conscience. Sexual love touches the core of our being, which is our heart and conscience. Heart is the source of love, and our conscience directs the expression of love. Heart is the impulse to find joy through loving and being loved. Like a moral compass, our conscience steers its impulse in the direction of goodness and truth and warns us not to harm other people and ourselves. When we have been irresponsible, our conscience urges us to reorient ourselves, straighten things out, and make a fresh start in the right direction. The second one, the responsibility to one's spouse or future spouse. Before marriage, this means being mindful of our future husband or wife and practicing fidelity to him or her in advance. In marriage, this means fidelity and commitment to cherish and care for our husband or wife. Purity involves the capacity of self-discipline. People demonstrate their sincerity by the way they control their impulses. If we cannot discipline ourselves before marriage, what guarantee can we offer our spouse that will be faithful after marriage? What is the best gift to give our beloved on the wedding day? A huge diamond ring that had already been given several times before? The most romantic of all proclamations is to state, I overcame all kinds of temptations because I was waiting for you. The third is the responsibility to one's child or future child. Sex has a life-giving dimension. Entering into sexual union implies a commitment to the potential result, a new person. Parents have a responsibility to love and nurture the child they have and to help him or her to reach maturity. Unless people are sincerely prepared to shoulder such a duty, they do their children and society a great disservice by conceiving a child. The love of parents is the basis for the children's pride and happiness. They would wish to be born through the total and harmonious unity of their parents in true love, and they long to be raised in that kind of love. Marriage is the most secure foundation for nurturing a child. Children naturally want and need their parents to love each other and to study together, not only for their physical and emotional needs, but also as an affirmation of their identity and value. Because their origin derives from their parents' bond, children's greatest security is their parents' love for each other. Sex links the deepest aspects of one's being. Our sexual organs are the center of love, life, and lineage, and must be valued as such. Human sexuality is a conduit for the expression of deep emotion and passion between men and women. Ideally, this passion springs from a heart of genuine love. The primary nature of true love is to give, not only to take. It seeks deep inner joy and satisfaction, not merely physical pleasure. My love organ belongs to my husband, and his love organ belongs to me. When I regard my sexual organ like this, how can I be careless about using my place of love? Biological life has the capacity to reproduce itself. Animals and plants grow toward maturity and bequeath their genetic codes to the new generations. Through their spiritual and physical union, husband and wife partake in the mystery of creating a new being. Children become a tangible link to immortality. Marriage is a worthy anchor for the lineage that is being extended to the next generation. The quality of love and commitment between husband and wife affects their lineage. All children deserve to be proud of the love that conceived and raised them. In true love, the spiritual dimension guides the physical dimension. Therefore, the true act of love originates deep within the soul and is approved by the conscience. Sex is an extremely powerful force, perhaps one of the most powerful human drives. That's why it takes strong discipline and a clear direction. What can help young people to lead a pure lifestyle? Families who set a good example and provide a protective environment. Religious or other communities that support these values. Responsible sexual education. Friends who stick to the norms of sexual abstinence outside of marriage. So this is a very good social environment then that really helps them, because when they are all on their own, then it's very, very hard to keep a pure lifestyle. There are more meaningful activities such as sports, music, social engagement, etc. Encouragement for those who might have failed in the past, support that they can make a new start and change their lives by switching to the right direction. No alcohol and drug abuse. For instance, they commit to never allowing any chemicals or other stuff to hijack their own bodies. Instead, they ensure that only their own spirit maintains control over their bodies at all times. And then professional therapy for those who have experienced sexual violence, so that their deep wounds can heal. A gift from our Creator. Human sexuality is a precious gift given to us by our Creator. As husband and wife, we are allowed to enjoy fulfilled love, sexuality, and intimacy. Coming to the end of this presentation, I would really like to emphasize that our human sexuality is truly a gift from our Creator. So, and now I would like to introduce to you someone very special to me. He is my dear husband, Peter Zoehrer. So the floor is yours.
What a surprise. Yeah, I would like to greet everybody and thank you for your patience. I think Gabi did very well with her presentation, right? I had the chance to listen a bit to her. And can you hear me? It's okay. Yeah. So she asked me to say a few words, and I don't have to say much. Basically, I agree with everything she said so far. And what I can say is that she doesn't just teach, she practices. I am a living testimony to that. She practices what she teaches, and so I feel very blessed in our marriage. And we have been together for quite some years. And
42 years.
For just 42 years. That's peanuts, right?
In comparison to eternity.
In comparison to eternity, this is peanuts. And so I'm eternally grateful for this marriage and for her incredible support. I have had a very exciting life so far. I'm still having an exciting life. And she has been supporting me in this. I've been pastor, I've been a journalist, I'm still a journalist now. I have been engaging in human rights activities. And you may not know, but this is a tough job, a really tough job, and demands a very irregular lifestyle. So she has been very patient with me. She never tried to kind of change my career in any way. She has been supporting me all this way, all the way through. There were times when I woke up in the middle of the night because I was pushed by some invisible force to write something. And of course, when I woke up, she woke up too. And probably she had difficulties to sleep again, but I had to get up and I had to write. So, at some point, I felt really, really sorry for her to be married with a guy like me. But then she comforted me. She said, when I had this wake-up call again one night, she said, "Now that's the man I married, fighting for righteousness." This comforted me very much. And so when I think of other journalist colleagues, we have some so many journalists. They are smoking because of the stressful life. They compensate in other ways. They smoking or they drinking alcohol, sometimes even drugs, and they live this irregular lifestyle, of course. and then very few journalists have a happy marriage because their wives leave them, and it's very difficult for them to keep a family going. So in that case, in that kind of, if I compare myself, I'm in a very lucky situation because of the incredible support of my second half, of my better half, I would say. So I think I'm done now, right?
Yeah. Thank you.
So please heed her advice, and if many young people would listen to that advice, we would live in a better world. I can say that. But the true love, family values are really under constant attack now from divisive forces, from even, I could say, from evil forces in our society. Also from ideology and etc. And the point is, we have to align ourselves with true love and true values. And we have to make the family the center, because the family, we can talk about world peace as much as we want. I mean, there are endless conferences of smart, bald heads talking across the table and saying smart words. But in reality, they don't manage to create peace. Peace starts with me. Peace starts within the family. And peace doesn't start with peace negotiations across a green table. So that is some home truth I've realized over the years. And so I hope that we can align with that basic truth and inspire many others to go this path. So I wish all of you, even though I don't see all of your faces, but I wish all of you happy day and great future centered on true love. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, my dear husband. So now we can ask questions, and hopefully I can find some good answers.
Thank you, Gabi. Thank you very much. That is so powerful. Thank you.